Let's talk about the business model behind the social media platforms that you know as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Kick. I want to speak on that because unfortunately everyone's rushing into social media trying to make a living instead of getting real skills. I can assure you when there are economic downturns or the world makes a change, you'll become obsolete very quickly if you're not offering significant value. If you're doing reaction channels, comedy skits, things like this, you're going to see your revenue flatline. It's better to get skills: electrician, plumber, mortuary science, or higher order skills. But anyways, let's talk about the business models because I know folks want to make money in this game. So what's the platform that's going to provide you the highest potential earnings? Well, far and above that is the YouTube platform. And we're speaking of YouTube holistically, which is in consideration of shorts and your longer videos, the ones that are 9 minutes. You can put in mid-roll ads. And then in addition, the streaming. Also, another consideration we have to make when we're talking about these platforms is how robust and or developed they are. Though the Google corporation that owns YouTube is highly advanced, very impressive technology, there's certainly a censorship corporation. And if you're going to be talking about politics in a particular way, you might want to stay away from it. Or if you have views on gender roles and things like that, may not be the best long-term play. Of course, as a business person, you're looking for revenue today, but also tomorrow and in the future. And maybe you'll be fortunate enough to sell your business, your media company, what have you. So anyways, YouTube is the most profitable, hands down, looking at the platform holistically. The requirements to get started on YouTube are not quite as tough when you consider the few decent levels of discovery, not TikTok levels of discovery. And they require that you get 1,000 subscribers and then a certain number of views. If it's on shorts within the last couple months, has to be an insane number like 10 million. Primarily because they're pushing out the YouTube shorts. Whereas on your other content, you could also, instead of the 10 million views on shorts or whatever the huge number is or high number is, you can just have a certain number of watch hours, which is probably a significant number of maybe 100,000, maybe 4,000. I think it's 4,000. These numbers are largely irrelevant because if you're actually good at what you do, you'll be able to achieve this fairly quickly. And my recommendation for those who would consider becoming an influencer is you should probably be influential already. The truth is what you should be doing is taking your online influence, reputation, and expertise and bringing it online. You take the offline credibility and bring it online. That means things are going to move quickly for you. If you've done nothing and you're a nobody and you have no expertise, then really you're probably just trying to milk and grift, and you're maybe an immature person who's not very serious. You want to be a jokester on the internet. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to serious men. So anyways, the YouTube metrics are more than manageable. And if you decide to go the YouTube route, just know that you're going to need to be politically correct and you'll be able to get paid. So there's that. There's YouTube. Now, setting YouTube aside, maybe you end up getting suspended, terminated, banned, which does happen, especially if you speak about certain countries, certain religions, or you take traditional stances. You will be at great risk. So you move from YouTube to what's next. Then you have Meta, which controls Instagram and Facebook. And these programs kind of work in concert. I really am considering Facebook because Instagram only invites some people some of the time, and they call it bonuses, which is to say that if you have a significant number of followers, we're talking about hundreds of thousands typically, then they'll invite you to post a certain number of reels or what have you to drive a certain amount of content, and then they'll give you a flat rate, $50, $100, whatever the case is, or $1,000, whatever it is. But it's usually based on you reaching a certain level. Now, stay tuned. I'm going to describe the scam embedded in all of these companies' business models. So let's talk about Instagram first in terms of their scamming. Well, they say if you get a million views on all of your reels in a given month will pay out a bonus to you. Maybe the bonus is $2,000, whatever it may be. Well, here's the kicker. They offer this to a number of content creators, knowing that very few will actually reach the threshold. And so as a result, they're able to drive significant levels of activity and engagement on their platform, which is what they want. They make the dollar. And then you get stuck with nothing because you didn't meet the threshold. So you worked really hard for no pay. This should sound familiar. This is kind of like those gigs that'll give you a job, but you're being paid on commission only, meaning if you don't make any sales, you don't make any money. All the while you're attempting to make sales, you're expanding the reputation of the brand, you're pushing out, you're basically doing marketing, and maybe you set up for a sale that'll happen later down the road or with a different salesperson. And so you're operating on their behalf, helping them, but they're not helping you. The company is leaving you high and dry. That's kind of what Instagram does with their bonus structure. It's also fairly random and lottery-like, not predictable. So it's not something that any reasonable person is going to base their income off of. Then you look at Facebook. Facebook is a little bit different. The sign-up process for monetization strangely is not very clear, not very good. Just the user experience between the mobile application and the web application remarkably different, which is shocking given how deep the tech is under the Meta banner, just across all of their different product lines. It's just really clunky and not terribly easy to understand. And mind you, when I talk about user interface, user experience, it's hugely important, not only for the consumer, but also the content creator. One of the reasons Rumble is not a worthwhile platform, and I'll talk about Rumble as well. But with regards to Facebook, they actually do pay decently for your content. And the convenient thing is that you can post the content onto Instagram. It'll auto post onto Facebook, and then it'll be monetizable on Facebook if you've already hit their metrics and been invited into their program. And similarly, Facebook is also PC. However, strangely, somehow Facebook manages just to be less politically correct than YouTube, Google. The worst with the censorship is by far TikTok. There's just no doubt about it. But anyway, so Facebook is a decent opportunity. And even though it's not really a long form content platform, and when you upload long form content, it's not often getting the viewership, and also their analog to super chats on YouTube is not very good and not very profitable. The ad rev is decent, and it's mostly going to come in the form of your reels that you upload onto Instagram that'll be reposted automatically onto Facebook and thereby monetizable. So Facebook, not super easy to navigate, but their payouts are decent. Frankly, my recommendation up to this point, based on the platforms discussed, is number one, YouTube. If you're doing the goofy stuff, you're not ever talking about anything particularly relevant or thought-provoking, then go ahead and make your buck and live quietly. Facebook is number two in terms of running ad units. And then you have Rumble, which is often mentioned as an alternative that doesn't have the censorship. Well, here's the funny thing. Well, Rumble doesn't really pay anything. I kid you not. I've been on Rumble for many years now. I can't tell you how many. All of my videos that upload to YouTube are also auto-uploaded onto Rumble. Across all of the platforms, I have about 500,000 followers, significant following. And just to give you a context on what that means in terms of popularity, clout, or fame, every time I go out, people recognize me at some point during the day, right? Even in small towns, right? But still, I say that only to contextualize this fact. Still, on Rumble, I kid you not, my entire catalog on Rumble, I've made $48 over a matter of years based on all of my videos. And that's because Rumble is a terrible platform in terms of user interface, user experience, not easy to navigate. I noticed recently they made some small improvements, namely to when you're looking at your revenue. And then here's the new scam that Rumble borrowed from Twitter. Elon Musk originated this scam. So what Rumble did is they said, you can only be a part of our partner program if you have Rumble Premium. Well, the first question is, what's Rumble Premium and why the hell would I want it? Because a lot of people, like myself, you might go on Rumble to create content, but you never go on Rumble to watch content because the user interface is not so good, and it's a bit ugly. I mean, Google did really well with, from a user interface and design standpoint. You use gray as gray and white, these light colors, kind of like invisible colors. Rumble has green coloration, which is an odd color to pick. It's lime green. It's just not very well done. So anyways, I say that to say this. They steal the Twitter business model, and they say, well, you have to get premium. And what's premium? Presumably it's like some subscription that allows you to watch content without any advertisements. And there's really not enough content creators of interest who are primarily on Rumble, especially if you're not an alt-right, white supremacist or something like that. Then Rumble's not so much of interest to you, because it inevitably is going to lack a diversity of content types. So anyways, you're primarily going to be on YouTube. Like me, I create on YouTube, I also watch on YouTube. But with Rumble, I only create on Rumble. So there's no incentive for me to have Rumble Premium. That being the case, if I were to get Rumble Premium, I don't know what it costs, but it wouldn't actually pay for itself. I'd essentially be paying Rumble to be both a consumer and a creator, because Rumble Premium is going to cost me more than I'm going to make in a month. And I know that because all of my videos together over in excess of 3-year period, they've not even made $48. I've not even met the minimum $50 threshold to get a payout on Rumble. So I say that to say Rumble is a terrible place. Moving on to Twitter. Twitter is unique in this context because Twitter's not really paying you for videos. They're paying you for your tweets, which is text. And how to grow on Twitter, frankly, I still haven't figured that out. I've had a number of tweets go viral, but the difference between a video going viral on YouTube and a tweet going viral on Twitter is that people who watch on YouTube, maybe they have a little bit more time to consume, more information, more data about you to consume, and then it causes them to convert into a subscription. Whereas on Twitter, they're just reading a clever, pithy sentence or two that you wrote. And unless you're already famous and well known, and you have a certain audience that's present on Twitter, you're not going to get the same following. So Twitter, I think it's harder to get a following, even if you are known elsewhere. And then secondly, there are people who know you, but still might not be following you on Twitter because the nature of the information is not enthralling and it's not education based. YouTube, if someone's like, wow, this is the smartest guy in the construction business, I want to learn construction. Well, you subscribe to him so you can learn and see long form content. On Twitter, if it's the same construction guy, you might not even follow him on Twitter because it's like you can't learn construction through tweets. So totally different kind of place, different kind of interests, different driving factors. I've never monetized on Twitter because Elon Musk, whom I'm at odds with, he basically blocked me from doing so a long time ago. And the Twitter customer service, in case you're curious, is horrible. At the time, I did try to monetize after having bought Twitter Premium and uploaded my ID and all the things that they said and get the number of the amount of engagement. They still wouldn't let me monetize, and they wouldn't respond to any customer service requests via email, via the premium account, or via tweet. So Twitter is a curious place. People claim conservatives believe in freedom of speech. Is not the case. No one believes in freedom of speech, or I should say practices it, right? And who cares what you believe? It's all about what you practice. So Twitter, maybe Twitter might work out for you, but I don't think it's something I would recommend. I was in fact talking to a friend of mine today who's a very popular guy. I don't know if he wants his name mentioned, but he used to be a fighting champion in the fight business, and he got kicked off of Twitter and demonetized. White guy. So whoever you are, Twitter might take you out. Anyway, so moving on to Kick. Kick actually has quite a ease in the process of becoming a Kick partner, which I think is really smart business. However, from a streaming perspective, they only pay you for live streams. They don't pay you for replays, which would make them unique compared to most other platforms. Secondly, I like the clarity, because as soon as you finish a live stream with Kick, you can look and see exactly what you've made in revenue, which is unique because with YouTube it's not the case, and with other platforms you're kind of wondering if they're jerking you around, and they very well may be and probably are. Wouldn't be surprised in the least bit. But Kick seems to be very transparent in that regard, and in fact Kick pays much better, for example, than Rumble. Even though I did 2 streams, one with very few followers and then the second one with a little bit more, and then Kick allows you to do 2 different types of streams. You can do one where you're multi-streaming. It's going to pay you half of what it would have if you were only streaming exclusively to Kick. So I recommend that, and I actually saw that in practice. I did 2 different ones, and I saw the stream that was exclusive to Kick paid much better, like 4 times better. Now granted, I did have more followers at that time, so that's pretty cool. What I don't like about Kick is that the technology is a lot less developed. I wouldn't say underdeveloped because tech is sophisticated, but it's less developed than YouTube by far. And it doesn't allow you to stream directly using the Kick software. You have to use another software like Streamlabs to stream into Kick. So for me, that's a bit of a challenge, but it is what it is. It's not too much of a biggie. Then there's Twitch, which I've not looked into on the business side, and I am going to, so you guys can get my update on that one. But like, it's worth noting, Rumble and Twitter, they require you to pay them before you can get paid. And most of the times you pay them, and they're basing their business model off of obviously ad rev, but also off of you paying them for premium subscriptions, not even for content, just for a chance to make money. And you know what? Mostly they're screwing you guys over, because you're not going to make money, most of you. Most of you don't have a significant enough value add or following to make money online, and you're paying these subscriptions to these corporations thinking that one day it'll convert into money, and it never will. And you're just spinning your wheels, making their platform bigger, giving their platform more content, but you never actually get a dollar. Rumble and Twitter are the ones that steal from you directly by forcing you to pay. You know, it kind of calls back to things like Ponzi schemes and all this stuff, or like the network marketing and all these kind of funny little things that are, less than straightforward. Then you got the other ones like the Instagram and the TikTok, where you can't base a lifestyle on it. You can't rely on it. You have to hope that they're going to bless you with a bonus or an invitation into this or that program. Even Facebook has to invite you into monetization. And I'd already done over 200 million views before they invited. So really, if you wanted to make a lifestyle of it, meaning it be your sole income, you need to be a PC content creator on YouTube, or you want to be like a gaming content creator or an IRL content creator on Kick. And the other ones that I haven't mentioned, I'll address at a later date. Share any comments, questions, thoughts you have below.